This video is an experiment I just did with it is basically two halogen work lights in series with an electric motor. And I did this, it's in series inside of this box. That comes in one receptacle. Here it's split out into the two 120-volt halogen lights there. And this, the returns here, it goes into the other outlet, which is the motor, and then it would return out to the plug. So this is as you can see, I have two motors here. One has a capacitor, that box on the top of that guy. This one does not. This one is a governor start motor, I believe you would call it, where once it gets to a certain RPM, there's a contactor in there and engages and cuts out the starting winding. But you will notice something interesting here with the halogen lights, and you can probably see the motor, what the motor does too, and you can probably hear it. The halogen lights are really bright. The motor's reached, you hear that click, that's contactors kicking in. Now the halogen lights are really dim, or pretty dim, and the motor just got a bearing issue, that's that noise. And the motor's running slow but because of the halogen lights. But that's how that kind of shows what the power it takes to start up the motor. Then when that starting winding is engaged, the motor is taking a lot more power than when it's running. And that's demonstrated by the halogen lights glowing brighter because it's pulling more current through the halogen lights because they're in series to start the motor. Once it's running, it doesn't need that current. So now I'm going to show what the capacitor motor does, and it does not do anything quite as impressive. It it starts a lot faster. It did, well, the halogens were bright and initially, and once it started, it did dim down, but it's not as noticeable with this motor. And when if you put both in, that's pretty much all I got. But that's kind of the difference between motors. At least from what I can tell, this motor without the capacitor takes more amperage to start it than this one with the capacitor. And that would kind of, I believe that would make sense based on the design. So, and the capacitor would probably limit the current coming in and it would delay the phases, so that would start differently. But that's two motors in series with some work lights from kind of demonstrates the loading.